What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I bought a super okay deal from a super sketchy dude. Check this unit out. 2010 Camaro. I think it's a 2SS, not sure on that. Interior is pretty much flawless. The motor has been blown up in this thing. Seems like a couple of different times. There's no motor in it right now, but nothing. It's because the rest of the car is in the back of the truck. Long story short, Cody sent me a link to this car for $13,500, and thought that was a pretty good deal. And then I read the review on the guy that was selling the car. Super sketchy. So I was messaging this guy, and then after I read the review, I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm not really interested in the car anymore. I think I'm gonna pass. And then he hit me at if you come today with $10,000 cash, I'll sell it to you. I'm like, oh, all right, now I'm interested again. We went there, we checked out the car. It was everything that he said it was for the most part. I got the title, and it's a rebuilt title, so I'm slightly sketched out about that. I sent the VIN number to a buddy of mine, Spencer, had him run the VIN. Turns out it had flood damage, but was fixed. It had right rear quarter damage, which is clearly fixed. The motor was a 416 stroker, which is not even the original motor. This is a Gen 3 6-liter block, and this was in the car. So who knows what happened to the original LS3 motor. But the story was that this motor just came back from the machine shop. It was all good to go, ready to be assembled. Well, after Justin and I went over the parts, I noticed that the cam bearing wasn't even in the block, and this supposedly just got brand new cam bearings put in it from the machine shop. Well, I didn't catch that the center bearing was gone. I did look at the other bearings, and they did look pretty fresh, pretty new-ish, you know. When I got to Justin's today, I noticed that the bearing was missing out of there, so that's a bummer. And then I kind of start looking at the block, and I could tell that some of these mains has definitely seen some heat. I'm like, oh, all right, well, you know, maybe that's not that big of a deal. But then I seen the main caps today, and this main cap has clearly seen some heat. So not a good deal. They didn't say anything about main bearings and or rod bearings getting heat. They just said the block came back from the machine shop and it was all ready to be assembled. Well, this thing has never been to a machine shop, at least not since it was blown up the last time. So I'm not super concerned with that. So I didn't notice that stuff until I got home. But while I was wheeling and dealing with the guy and catching his stories and yada yada, after I had seen the title, I said, listen, man, I'm into this deal at $7 grand. So if I can get this car for $7 grand, it's worth it to me. And he came back with 8, so we met in the middle at $7,500. So I picked this whole car up for $7,500. It's got 60,000 miles on it. Yes, it has a rebuilt title, but I'm not super concerned with that. Newer-ish wheels. I don't hate them. I think they're okay. It is a true, actual carbon fiber hood. So, you know, I think it's all right. I'm not stoked about the color. I think out of principle, this thing just has to be called Bumblebee Tuna. For obvious reasons. So I'm pretty stoked. I'm not super stoked about the engine situation, but I already have a LS2. It's actually a L76 out of a truck, and what that is, it's an aluminum 6-liter. It's basically the same block and internals as a LS2. So I've got that at the shop. So, and that only needs cam bearings. So I'm gonna throw cam bearings in that tomorrow, and then go buy a camshaft, and hopefully I can rummage through all these totes and find all of the parts that I need to put this car back together. TR6060 trans, I'm pretty stoked about that. It's got Cook's long tube headers, full Corsa exhaust. There was a button on the shifter for, I guess it could be a two-step, or could be nitrous. So, man, I'm stoked. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this build other than hopefully slap it together and just cruise around in it. 4 seats so the kids, you know, kids can ride in the back. Flip that up. The interior is flawless. The exterior is probably like an 8 out of 10, and I'm okay with that. I don't need a super nice car because I'm just gonna beat this thing up. I'm gonna have some fun with it. So man, stay tuned. I think tomorrow Justin and I think we're gonna thrash and assemble that L76 motor and then see if we can't get this thing dropped in there this weekend. It is Thanksgiving today, so the only reason I'm out right now is the old lady kicked me out of the house again. Just seen me wandering and pacing back and forth, and she's cooking, nothing I can do. She said, why don't you go leave and do something? Okay, so here I am, car wash. I gave this thing a quickie wash down. I'm excited. This is gonna be a fun project. I've kind of always wanted one of these cars. I've just been waiting for the right deal to come along, and I think I found it. So hopefully, you know, we put this whole car together, and eventually I probably will just sell it. Hopefully make a little bit of money on it. We'll see. So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna put this thing together. Well, I got it all polished up, kinda, for the most part. I washed it. It's still yellow, so that's cool. I got it here in the shop. I hooked up the battery charger to the power studs so I could pop the trunk. I couldn't get the trunk open because there was no battery. So I popped open the trunk and cleaned all the parts out of the back of the car. He had the back of the car stuffed full of parts. I did just remove all this to get to the battery. I've got the battery tender going on it now. Try to save it. But check this out. We got 821 heads, which these are the rectangle port, and I could tell they've been ported and polished. I think these are aftermarket beehive springs. It's not a dual spring, so the cam can't be that rowdy. But everything else is super clean. Look at all this stuff. Clean as a whistle. I am going to take the oil pan to the car wash, get it cleaned up. I'm also going to take this hideous intake to the car wash, pressure wash it up, clean up all the, I don't know, whatever the heck is going on over here. I'm going to clean this whole thing up, probably spray it black, or maybe I'll have Scotty powder coat it, clean this thing up real nice. We do have a twin disc clutch, and it's definitely got some heat marks on it. I'm probably gonna send it, and I'll tell you why. I wanna get this car together as fast as I can with the parts that I have. If it takes me 2 days to put this car together, so be it. I can get it together, and then I can start it, drive it, and I could just learn a lot more from the car, driving it and tinkering with it that way. I'm not gonna go through all these parts. I'm not gonna replace blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm gonna build a motor, and the trans supposedly has some synchros going out. I don't care. I'm gonna put it together and I'll go from there. I can figure out which synchros are going bad, make a note of that, order the parts, and pull it out in a day and rebuild it. So I'm not too concerned with that stuff at all. I want to get this thing together. I want to drive it. I want to enjoy it. To me, this is a fun project. This is a puzzle, and I'm pretty sure all the pieces are here. So I want to get this thing together. It's going to be awesome. I'll tell you what I've got going on with the motor. So like I said earlier, Justin and I, we checked out that 416 stroker deal. It looks like the block is definitely going to need a line bore and a little bit of machine work. And that's okay. It sucks, you know, because supposedly the block just came back from the machine shop. That was BS. So, but that's cool. I didn't buy the car because of the motor. I bought the car because all in all, it was all a pretty good deal. So this is what I have. I have a L76, which is a Gen 4 all aluminum 6 liter. It's the same thing as a LS2 or the LS2 style that's in the Caprices and other stuff. This one came out of a truck, and this was a customer's engine that I was taking apart for a misfire, and then I kind of, the more I dug into it, the worse that it got. The cam bearings were just smoked in this deal, and I think that's pretty common on these. If the oil and maintenance doesn't get kept up, it's gonna roach the bearings first. So I am gonna hammer out these cam bearings, put some new ones in. I will have to go buy a new camshaft. I'll show you that camshaft. So the camshaft it came with, I guess, is pretty rowdy, but you can clearly see the damage. So that's where it spun in the journal of the block, and this thing is junk. So I'm not going to try to polish it. I could care less. This thing's going straight into the trash. I'll go buy a new one. Hopefully I can get a cam at Winter Circle tomorrow, and hopefully I have the right bearings for this motor, or hopefully I can get them. I would love to make this into a fully dressed long block tomorrow. After that, I can mate the motor and the trans together and get it put in the hole. And then maybe the next day I can, you know, string out all the wiring, plumbing for the fuel, which is super easy. But exhaust, you know, I would love to have this thing running by the end of the weekend. So stay tuned. We're gonna try to get these parts together and put this thing together. I'm excited. This thing is gonna be sweet. It's yellow. Definitely gonna name this Bumblebee Tuna, and there's really nothing you can do about that. So I don't hate the wheels. They're not that bad. Like I've seen uglier wheels for sure. So I'm starting to get this block cleaned up pretty good. I just got the head surfaces clean and the valley surfaces clean, and I still haven't decided if I'm really just going to jam out these cam bearings or just run them. There's a good chance that I might just run it, but we'll see how tomorrow looks, if I can get something or not. But anyway, I'm just going through some of the parts. I found the head studs, which is pretty sweet. All the lifters and trays. And I don't have any head gaskets or a camshaft anyway to put in it tonight. So, but I can put these head studs on and try to get, you know, anything else that I can get onto the motor tonight. I'm going to do that. So throw these things on there. All right, guys, it's Friday, so this is 2 days after I bought the car.
It's a good Friday.
We got Jeff and Justin here. We're gonna blur Jeff's face out because of the witness protection program that he's in. So I went to the Winter Circle today and got a camshaft. I bought a Howard's cam. Where the gear? Oh yeah, we knocked out the two front cam bearings because these things were pretty whooped. So Justin and I, we hammered some new ones in there, and should be good to go on that deal. Camshaft is in it. I'm going through the hardware. This was one bag of hardware that was left to me. Luckily, I know where almost everything goes here. So we are going to get this motor together, which I would imagine takes us another half hour, and this whole motor will be together. And then maybe we'll mate the trans. We're Also currently working on getting the pilot bearing out of the old crank and into the new crank, which we've got it filled with grease. I'm coming up with a shank right now to hopefully get it out. So, yep. Okay, the time has come. We got the engine all buttoned up. We're about to mate the motor and transmission, and then hopefully put it in its home. We have been thrashing all day long. It's like 4:30-ish right now. I think we started at about 9 o'clock. So motor and trans are in. We are just running wiring and plumbing. We need to put it back in the air and get some of the other stuff on, like the crank sensor and the starter. We're gonna leave the headers off and the spark plugs out. I would like to make sure that the car turns the engine over fine, and we are going to try to prime the oil pump and oil system in the engine before we fire this thing up or proceed any further. So we'll get up in the air, hook the starter up, and then try to turn this thing over. All right, guys, we've been thrashing all day. It's 6 o'clock. So from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, it's a lot of hours. I think we've got everything on. We've been tinkering. We found a bunch of fuel leaks. We had to fix some fuel leaks. We just got it to turn over with the starter and everything right now. And we're really hoping that everything's gonna fire up and have good oil pressure. So let's see what happens. We've had a dead battery, so we've got my work truck in here and some jumper cables right now, but it did try to pop off once, and I think it was good, but we're gonna try it again. That's freaking awesome. So one day from start to finish, we assembled an entire motor and got the motor and transmission in the car and got it running. We're gonna work on getting coolant in it and tidying up some wiring and maybe a few things here and there. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be ripping this thing. So I'll kind of turn the camera back on once I'm ready to start driving this thing and we get it buttoned up. Pretty stoked. Okay guys, it's the last day of the Camaro build here. Today is Sunday, and Friday we thrashed and put the whole engine together and got it in the car and got it running, which was awesome. Yesterday, I came in and tidied up a bunch of little things that kind of needed to be addressed before we drove it. It was missing 1 or 2 drive shaft bolts. The heater core hose line was cut because they couldn't get it off the core support. So I ended up capping the water pump. Yeah, I just capped it off for now. Yesterday morning I was just gonna go buy new lines and run new lines. So from factory, these come out of the firewall and then they go up and over the coil brackets and then they come back around here. Well, I don't really like that. I'm just gonna make new lines and they're gonna sneak down below here and come in. But I wasn't concerned with that yesterday. I had plugs or caps here, so I capped the water pump. I just wanted to make sure the car worked as a car before I spent another $1 on it. And it does. I drove this thing around yesterday. I probably put, I don't know, maybe 30 miles on it. And it's pretty freaking sweet. It's very obnoxious in every way. It is loud as hell. It's got a big dumb cam in it. It's extra bucky on the clutch. I guess the slight with the tune and the trans and the clutch and the big cam. So it's a little difficult to get used to, which we will work on, of course. But obviously the paint is, you know, obnoxious. Wheels are obnoxious. Everything about this car is obnoxious, but it is really fun to drive. So yesterday we drove around. It has no reverse. So I drove it around yesterday with no reverse, which I don't need reverse a whole lot, but with the TR66s, apparently the reverse lockout is a common problem with these. And I think I figured out why this car is messed up. When they put the headers on, they didn't hold up the wiring, so it melted a bunch of wires on the headers. I actually drove around all day yesterday without the crank sensor wires connected because they were melted. The sensor was plugged in, but the wires were melted, and I didn't know that until I was investigating the lockout. And I originally thought that's why the lockout didn't work, was because it had no RPM. So I ordered the lockout fix, the plug or whatever, to eliminate that. So that'll be here in a couple days. But man, this car is fun. Today I think I'm going to just kind of button up a little bit more. Some of this wiring and stuff really just needs to be tucked away and hidden. I know it already looks better than probably how it came from factory or however these guys had it. This wire or this loom I really need to get moved. It needs to get kind of behind the coils and injectors. Hopefully it'll fit in there. I got to undo this ground back here, but anyway, I'm gonna put this thing in the air. I'm gonna check out the lockout deal one more time, and then I'll start this thing up so you can hear it. It is rowdy. Okay, so here is that reverse lockout solenoid mechanism deal. And what happens is this is a little electric motor, and it allows this plunger to move freely, I guess. So yesterday I took this thing apart and tinkered with it, and the little electric shaft that goes down that keeps this thing locked in place, I pretty much boogered that all up. It's actually doing what it's supposed to do right now. It's supposed to move freely like this, I think. So I'm really just trying to get away with, I don't know, having reverse at the moment until that other piece comes. So I'm trying to figure this thing out. I don't know how it works. Maybe I'll take this clip off and just take this whole plunger out. But I think right now I'm going to start the car without that in it and see what happens. I'm hoping that transmission fluid doesn't come pouring out of the trans. So we'll see what happens there. Headphone users beware. Well, that didn't work. No fluid. Well, that didn't work. It still partially goes into reverse, but it doesn't go all the way into reverse. So I don't think the part that I bought is going to fix that because it's not in there at all. So trans might just be hurt. Second gear synchros are definitely smoked in the trans, so I probably will have to pull this thing out and go through the trans, which is no big deal. That'll be a later date for sure. So, okay, well, I'll still let you hear this thing from a distance. It is extremely loud. that's gonna be it for today's video. Let me know what you think we should do with the car. I don't have any real plans with it now that it's together. I gotta fix the transmission, but that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you.